course that's the way it should be.
Of course.
Why didn't someone think of that before?
With the Vendoroo integration into Rentvine, they basically get to just work inside their property management system and run their maintenance program inside of Rentvine, while these AI teammates get to do all this like mundane thing that used to take up a lot of like mental load and time and to-do lists. They get to do it with full access. You don't really have to change much of your habits. You can continue to work in Rentvine.
Let me recognize you guys, because obviously, you know, Rentvine, the whole philosophy on the open API was to have amazing partners like you be able to build what you guys need and want to deliver a better solution to the customers. And just a big shout out, because the tech lift, you guys handled that. You took it by the horns and you just wrote the code that you needed to write to be able to empower property managers and tenants and owners to get what they need. But like, can you share any of the like details on what that might mean for property managers?
100%. So say that there is a property with a pool that has some particular instructions. All you have to do is put that inside of your maintenance notes, inside of Rentvine, and the AI, what we call PMRU, right? This is your superstar AI, like ChatGPT assistant that knows everything about everything that's happening in a maintenance thing. So, and that's the center of the intelligence. That will always scan the property notes inside of Rentvine first before moving on to making any kind of decision, right? So you can really like be very individualistic about the things you want it to know, because the way that it makes decisions, it looks at maintenance notes first, then it looks at whatever client-wide policies you might have, then it looks at your policies, and then it goes into like the 7 years of experience as a maintenance coordinator that it already has. So it starts in Rentvine, your ability to just keep it live there, and it's able to know all the things that you put in there immediately.
That's the kind of integration that's game changing, because I always say, you know, like the last thing a property manager wants to do is manage their business from 7 different screens. Right? The more you can consolidate, the more you can get those types of integrations, it's going to allow that property manager to be more efficient, to kind of bring everybody along on the same page and get the communication clear. And that today is what the investor wants. They want better communication. They want better services. They want easier access to their data. Tenants want the same thing. They want an up-to-date status on, hey, how is the pool access? What's going on with this repair? And so having that integration with you guys is just crucial.
Yeah, you know, speaking of communication, you know, for us, it's really important to understand the insight beyond the status, right? Like what the status is, it's like, what is the thing that I need to know about the status to move it forward, right? Like that's the thing. And inside of Rentvine, when it comes to communication, every communication that the AI has with the resident, with the vendor, coordinating things, it all gets logged inside of your property notes so that you can see all of it historically. And with the PMRU, right, like you can just go in and say, it's like a Google Chrome extension or a Teams extension that sits on top of like while you're doing your thing, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And instead of work order diving and trying to like make sense of all these different things, you can go, hey, why is it that the resident and the vendor kind of like had a thing here? And it'll tell you what happened. Right? It'll summarize and tell you the sentiment.
It's the funniest thing in the world, because that's my measurement of like true disruption is when you explain something and I'm over here going, of course that's the way it should be. Why didn't someone think of that before? It's like my analogy is always, hey, everyone thought taxis were okay until Uber came along, and then you realize what a mediocre experience you were having. You were totally having a mediocre experience, but no one ever stopped to question or ask and say, hey, is there a better way? So it's just intuitive.
Of course, I should know where it is and what.
You think you should know the details of the status of this repair? 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And to your point, like owners and residents wanting quicker answers, right? Like now, instead of trying to figure out something for half an hour, 2 hours, you have an instant response and you can give them what they
want.
Love that. The other thing that we believe, as far as like agentic AI goes, right? So it's like, number one, it's having access to all the context and everything that you can keep it organized, the clear communications, the shortened gap. We believe that if somebody's building an AI with the mentality of a teammate, is that they should operate the way that you would want it to be done.
Of course.
And that's why it has to work inside of your software, because you're not going to be like, no, you hire somebody like, well, I'm bringing in my own tools and everybody else has to learn to use them, right? A, and B, it has to be done like you. So one of the things that while you are looking at what the AI is doing inside of Rentvine, if you have the thing open and you're like, oh, actually, I wish that you would have done it this way.
Yeah.
You can just at Vendoroo inside of your maintenance notes and say, hey, next time you
wild.
do it this way. And now,
great.
vroom, your process is updated. And that is what it does from henceforth. Like if you were to tell an employee, hey, I'd rather you speak like this, except they're never going to forget. And they're always going to do it. And they're not going to resent you for
And
it.
they're going to do it perfectly.
And you don't have to repeat it over and over again. You do it once, like it's cool.
That's what I love, man. That's like true bleeding edge type of AI forward thinking. And so I just appreciate what you guys are doing. Appreciate this integration. We're so stoked about it. And I think customers are going to love it.
Yeah, me too, man.